Hello everyone and welcome back into another lap time challenge video, and today we got Red Bull Ring in group 3, and this one is actually a little bit more complicated than what usually is. So 39.4 is for the gold, but a 36.5 is the world record. You are probably asking yourself, how is this possible? How do we have such a huge spread? And even if we go to the global leaderboards, you will be able to see that maybe, only maybe, just about 100, not even 100 people are in the 37s. So 69 people got into the 37s, and this is already a 38.0. And that's exactly the case in this one. It's complicated because we are running in wet conditions. So the tires of choice are intermediates or wets. I did use intermediates, but I think if you cannot really manage the intermediates, you can definitely take the wets, and I think, in my opinion, the car will be more stable and more manageable in these conditions. But I just wanted to show you that I did P8 in the world. But first of all, what I did, so just to explain the whole situation, I always watch the best guy in the world with the same car, and that's with this Ferrari. And he just discovered a lot of new things for him. For example, just completely using different lines. Okay, he is braking at 150. You can see how much track is he using, but not downshifting in the second, staying in third gear. And you can see, once again, using the full width of the track on the left. But now, this middle section is the most important part, because now he will try to use completely different lines. And not try, he will use different lines. You can see he's staying in the middle of the track and just going very wide here, so he can take just a better line on the exit of this corner. And once again, not going all the way to the left, because we don't want to use that wet line. We want to stay where we have more traction, and then usually in the middle of the track, this is where you will actually get that traction. So once again here, just going in the middle of the track, going to the left side of the track. He's downshifting in the second, although I did downshift in the first. He's downshifting in the second and quickly upshifting into third gear just to avoid that wheel spin. And you'll be able to see, once again, just taking a wider line than normal. So in normal conditions, you will stay close to the curb. Here, you just want to stay as wide as possible. Now, taking this curb, I actually thought it was going to be slippery, but it's not. Here, we're going wide once again. And then this is the tricky part. This is where you want to use the curb, but if you use too much of the curb, the car can slip, and you can, of course, lose control, and it's pretty much game over. Here, in between the 150, 75, I would say, a little bit of trail braking. If you hit the brakes too hard, you will get kind of a wobbly back end, and it's going to be really difficult to manage. Once again, over the curb, do not use the curb on the outside, because it can definitely spin you out. And so this was a 36.5, but I also wanted to show you what I did in my laps, just to give you kind of a better understanding of what's going on. So let's begin at, well, one of the most difficult challenges that I had in a while. So on the right side, you can also see the temps of the tires. And I do believe that you need just to do a couple of laps just to warm up the tires, and then eventually you will get better performance. 150 is our first braking point, and please make sure that you brake in the straight line. And then I did downshift in the second, although I would recommend to keep the car in third just to get a little bit more stability in the middle of this corner. Although it can be quite tricky, you need to stabilize the car as much as you possibly can. So no sudden changes of direction, no sudden movements of the steering wheel, nothing that is too sudden in that regard, especially in the rain. And then we need to look at the 150 and the 100, but I need to brake in the middle, so 125 would be perfect, although this is very difficult to get because you don't really have a reference. And then braking straight until we reach to the left side of the track, and then downshifting the first and quickly upshifting into second. And now this has to be controlled. So the acceleration, because this is also an uphill section, needs to be very controlled, and I sometimes even stop at just about 60-70% not to spin the tires too much. And then we need to start preparing ourselves for the next corner, and this is once again a 125, but also I'm looking at the 150 meter sign and then braking in the straight line, but I'm always starting to brake in the middle of the track, because this is usually the less slippery part of the track, especially in these wet conditions. And again, second gear, you can see that I'm holding the power just at about 50%, and that's crucial, not to spin the tires. If the tires start to spin out, you will definitely lose a lot of time. And now into this very tricky part of the track. Usually I do brake just about 75 meters, so somewhere in between the 50 and the 100. But now I need to take this outside line, so if you touch the curb on the inside, you will start sliding and eventually you will lose a lot of time. So this line is actually better and faster, but make sure that you start accelerating in third gear. to once again avoid additional sliding. Here, this is our next reference point, and once again, this is kind of an immediate transition into trail braking. Hitting the brakes just at about 50% is ideal, although if you push a little bit more, I would say nothing too bad will happen. But now the control part starts in here. You need to straighten up the car and only then start accelerating. Otherwise, or if you even touch the curb, the car will lose grip and you will start once again sliding and losing a lot of time. Here, once again, I'm looking at the 100 but braking in between the 150, so just about 75 as in the previous corner. Now we need to start almost immediately trail braking, not touching the curb. I did touch the curb a little bit and lost a bit of time. So once again, we need to stabilize the car before our next braking point. Otherwise, if you hit the brakes and the car is sliding, you will most likely lose the back end. Here, if you start turning in and braking at the same time, you will lose the back end. So the most important part is to brake in the straight line, and then when you start turning in, just let go of the brakes, and eventually you will get a good and clean run onto the straight. And of course, as I explained before, I did P8 in the world and I got myself a 36.9, which is a pretty decent result, although I think there is a lot more in the lab. And of course, if you would like to follow my approach, if you would like to find out all of the things that got me this far in just about 30 to 45 minutes, you can go check out my online course, which is going to be down in the description. And of course, if you made it this far into the video, you can use this coupon to get a 15% discount. Once again, I really hope that this is going to help you, and once again, good luck, because you will definitely need it. Again, guys, thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, bye.